One of the most common questions that I'm asked is, what is the best national brand of chocolate milk? Got the top 5 here. We're gonna go count down from 5 to 1 and we'll see what the best national brand of chocolate milk is. So by national brand, I mean brands that are generally available in most metro areas across the United States. Obviously, Alaska and Hawaii are gonna be wild cards, but your typical national brands would be like Nesquik, Fairlife, True Moo, Organic Valley, Horizon, stuff you see all over the place, even Lactaid. The reason we're doing a top 5 here and not a top 10 is because I don't think there's 10 good ones. And at least the top 5 are decent and worth your time to check out. So let's get started. Number 5.
Number 5.
Shamrock Farms, the whole version. There's lots of different versions of Shamrock Farms. I did a very complete episode on Shamrock Farms and went through every available version of it. This stuff's available all over the United States. You'll see it in gas stations. Some fast food restaurants even have that as their chocolate milk. Yeah, so it's not bad at all. It's got a nice kind of velvety but substantial texture to it. And it is ultra pasteurized, so it doesn't have that creamy soul of like a cream line chocolate milk. And I describe the flavor as a caramel, which is a portmanteau, and usually the only portmanteaus I use are like Chart and Backney. Anyway, but it's got, you know, caramel sort of maltiness. I think the caramel flavor of it comes from the ultra high temp pasteurization of it, which can kind of caramelize some of the sugars, some of the lactose, and it gives that sort of, but it is still kind of a unique flavor, and it's definitely not bad. So anyway, if you're interested in Shamrock Farms, you know, check out the episode that I did on that last year. Okay, number 4 is Colona Supernatural. Now this stuff is probably one of the most unique national brands that you'll find because it's organic, it's low temp pasteurized, and it's non-homogenized, which is very strange. Most of the national brands are ultra pasteurized just to extend the shelf life as long as possible because they're going to be distributed to all the corners of the US. This stuff is not, and it's organic. It does come from Iowa, but you can find it all across the United States. I did spend some time on the little search gimmick on the website just to make sure that it was available in enough metro areas that I would consider it national. There are a few gaps in the Pacific Northwest, in northern New England also. I don't think they distribute up there in parts of western New York, but I'll put a map up. This is widely available, likely in your state. So how does it taste? Okay, it's unique, I will say that. I don't know if it doesn't say alkalized cocoa or Dutch cocoa on the ingredients. I tend to think that it's non-alkalized, which, what does that mean? It's just a process that has to do with making it a certain color, but it can also impact the flavor as well. And this to me has a very unique cocoa flavor. I think in my review I wrote something about, this won't sound flattering, and I don't mean it as a knock, but there's like a sharpness to it that reminds me, like it almost for a second tastes like canned soup smells, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It probably doesn't. But it has a little bit of a sharpness and a unique cocoa flavor. Some people love it, some people don't really dig it. It was described to me by someone as tasting like cat food at one point. So it's been a long time since I've had cat food, so I can neither confirm nor deny that, but maybe I'll check with the cats inside and see what they think. I do really appreciate the non-homogenized creamline base of it. It's not quite as buttery as like some of the local stuff you might get, but it is very girthy and thick. It is quite sweet too, and it has a unique cocoa flavor. I think it's definitely worth a try. It'll be something that if you haven't had this before, it will seem very unique to you. Okay, I do appreciate it for that, and this is definitely one of the best national brands. Okay, number three. Definitely one of the most requested ones that I get. People want, hey, you should try Promised Land. I've tried Promised Land. I've been drinking Promised Land for years, even back when it came in a glass bottle. And this, to be clear, this is the Promised Land Midnight Chocolate whole version, not the 2% version, which for me was a little bit too sweet and also like thicker beyond its britches. So, how was this stuff? This is the most caloric of the group for sure, and it's delicious. It's got a great flavor to it. Promised Land started out as an ice cream dairy, and they pride themselves in kind of giving you that melted chocolate ice cream type flavor in drinkable form, and I certainly think that it's accurate and it's well done from that standpoint. Now, not too long ago, I did a Promised Land episode. It was very complete, went all through Promised Land and the backstory of it and everything like that, and definitely check that out if you're interested. This stuff is very sweet, very chocolatey, and it's even got a nice salty quotient to it, and it's thick. Like, a lot of people prefer thick chocolate milk. I don't necessarily, but it does feel congruent with the fat content and everything like that, so it doesn't feel fakey. I will say, in terms of criticism I have of it, the ultra pasteurization, I think, doesn't do it any favors from a texture standpoint. It still feels girthy and substantial, and if you haven't had a lot of cream line, non-homogenized chocolate milks, you probably wouldn't notice. But it does lack that little bit of creamy, grassy soul that you sometimes get with a local chocolate milk. But as it is, Promised Land, it does taste delicious. It's amped up from a flavor standpoint, and I think most people would very much prefer this. One thing about the midnight chocolate, that hints at like a dark chocolate flavor. It certainly doesn't have a dark chocolate flavor. It's very sweet and has much more of a medium, sort of normal, ice creamy sort of flavor to it. And yeah, it's good stuff. I guess we're at number 2, the runner-up.
Number 2.
Trader Joe's. Now, Trader Joe's is a, I guess, supermarket that's available that, I don't know how many states Trader Joe's is in, if it's in all 50 states or the lower 48. I can definitely find that out. Now, this is the whole version. They more recently came out with a 2%, like less, lower sugar version, which was absolute garbage. Anyway, how is this stuff? Okay, so what I like about this a lot is it's got a great cocoa flavor, and it's certainly plenty sweet. There's a cleanness to the drinking experience because it's not overly thick. It doesn't feel like it's bogged down with cornstarch or any of that other stuff. It does have, I think, gellan gum or guar gum in it as an emulsifier, but for whole milk, it's actually quite thin, and I think the flavor disperses quickly, and it feels nice on the palate. It doesn't feel too girthy. Some people like girthy, and that's why I think Promised Land is preferred by some folks. But for me, this is a really nice drinking experience. Yeah, you could drink a lot of this stuff quickly, which I guess maybe is why it comes in 64 ounces. I believe this is the only size that it comes in. And yeah, I mean, this will last like a day and a half for me. Well, if there's a Trader Joe's in your area, or if you're traveling to a city that has one, definitely check it out. I've seen it in every Trader Joe's that I've gone to. It's right out there in the dairy case. It sticks out, and try this, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Looking, finds Rose. Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer!
All right, number 1, best national brand, in my opinion, in the United States, is Coco Metro. Now, I've got a long-standing relationship with Coco Metro, not the company, but with the drink itself. When I first had this in St. Louis, this would have been, what, 2014 probably, 2015. I thought it was the best chocolate milk that I've ever had in my life. And this was before I was doing the chocolate milk thing. But that's the standard by which I measured every other chocolate milk. Once we went on the road, I was always thinking back to, oh, that stuff I had in St. Louis, that stuff's a 10. I used it as the original kind of standard of what I considered 10. You know, have things changed since then? Certainly, after having 1,750 something chocolate milks, obviously stuff changes. This stuff I recommend to anybody that asks, hey, what's the best chocolate milk that I can get anywhere in the United States? Again, it's only gonna be at certain retailers, but this stuff is super good. It's gonna go against convention a little bit because this is 2%. It is reduced fat, believe it or not. It is ultra pasteurized, so again, that soul in the milk isn't necessarily there, but the chocolate flavor is so damn good. It's freaking intense. It's dark, it's mature, it's desserty, it's satisfying, it lasts for a long time. Some people have said, wow, it was too intense for me. I get it. I've even diluted some of this stuff with white milk before because the flavor is still so strong that it'll still be good and chocolatey and rewarding if you dilute it with milk to make this thing last longer. Yeah, very few chocolate milks have this strong of a cocoa focus. I can think of a few. Comes to mind, Strauss in California has an off the charts cocoa flavor. End of the Lane Creamery in New York off the charts, brilliant cocoa flavor. Absolutely love that stuff. If there was adult chocolate milk, you know, I know chocolate milk is typically deemed like a kid's drink. Oh, I used to have chocolate milk when I was a kid. Now, obviously, I don't agree with that, but this would be something that feels more geared towards an adult palate that appreciates like a dark chocolate. It's still plenty sweet, but it's more chocolatey than it is sweet, and it's super rewarding. So I'm calling this the best chocolate milk as a national brand in the United States. You may agree or disagree, but I do recommend you try all these, even side by side, because it does highlight the differences among them. I've had lots of all this stuff over the years. It's always comforting that, you know, wherever you're traveling, if you're jonesing some chocolate milk, you can find a pretty decent one in most areas. And so I'm thankful for that. Hopefully you are too. On the strength of the cocoa flavor and the quality of the cocoa flavor, oh, fuck. Well, that'll happen. Don't cry over spilled milk, but I mean, you know, this stuff's worth crying over. I just washed these too, what the fuck? Okay, how was this stuff?